I had always believed that marriage was about trust, loyalty, and partnership. For 20 years, I gave Gregory everything. My love, my support, my unwavering belief that we were in this together. I stood by him through business failures, personal setbacks, and the quiet disappointments life throws at you when you're too busy trying to keep everything afloat. I built our home, raised our daughter, and worked tirelessly to maintain stability while he chased his ever-changing dreams. And then, on the day I should have been celebrating my daughter's college graduation, he shattered it all with a single sentence egg. "I've decided to start a new life without you." The words hung in the air like an explosion, silencing the room. Our friends, our family, even strangers at nearby tables. All of them froze, their eyes darting between us, waiting for me to react. They expected tears, anger, a dramatic exit. Something messy, something broken. But I didn't give them what they wanted. Instead, I smiled. Not a fake smile, not a forced one. A real, honest-to-God smile. Because in that moment, something inside me shifted. I wasn't surprised, not really. I had seen the signs. The late-night phone calls that ended abruptly when I walked into the room. The sudden need for privacy. The way he avoided answering simple questions about his schedule. I had spent months convincing myself that I was imagining things, that I was being paranoid, that I was just tired from work and needed to stop overthinking everything. But deep down, I knew. And now, he had confirmed it. Gregory blinked at me, clearly thrown off by my reaction. "What?" he asked, his voice cracking slightly. I leaned forward, resting my elbows on the table as if we were having a perfectly normal conversation. "A congratulations on your honesty," I said, keeping my tone light. It must have taken a lot to finally admit it. His mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. Across the table, our daughter Amelia sat frozen, her graduation cap still perched on her head, her face pale with shock. My heart clenched at the sight of her. This was supposed to be her day, her moment of triumph. And now, instead of celebration, she was watching her father publicly announce his abandonment of the family he claimed to love. From the corner of my eye, I saw Cassandra Wells shift uncomfortably in her seat. She had been one of my closest friends once, back when we lived in the same neighborhood and shared coffee dates and parenting advice. Now, she looked like she wished the floor would swallow her whole. Good, with practiced calm. I reached into my handbag and pulled out a small, cream-colored envelope. I placed it gently beside Gregory's plate, watching as his eyes narrowed. "What's this?" he asked, his voice laced with suspicion. "A little something for you to read later," I replied, keeping my voice steady. Then, before he could say anything else, I turned to Amelia and kissed her cheek. "I am so proud of you, sweetheart. This day is still about your accomplishment." Then I stood, smoothed my dress, and addressed our stunned guests. "Please enjoy your meal. I wish you all a lovely afternoon." And just like that, I walked out. The envelope that changed everything as I stepped outside, the summer heat hit me like a wall, but I welcomed it. For the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe freely. Behind me, I heard the restaurant door open again. Gregory's hurried footsteps followed by the sharp clatter of his voice. "Bianca, what the hell is this? What have you done?" I kept walking, allowing myself a small smile. The envelope I had handed him contained more than just a divorce filing. It was the beginning of my revenge, a meticulously planned strategy that had been months in the making. While Gregory had been distracted by his affair, convinced that he was playing some grand chess game where he controlled every move, I had been quietly gathering evidence. I had started noticing discrepancies in our joint accounts months ago. Small transfers to an account I didn't recognize. At first, I told myself it was nothing, that maybe he was investing in another business venture or saving money for something big. But something about it felt off. So I dug deeper. I traced every transaction, cross-referenced statements, and discovered exactly how much money Gregory had been siphoning away. He had been systematically moving funds into a separate account for over a year. Money meant for our retirement, for Amelia's future, for the stability we had always promised each other. Instead, he had been using it to fund a new life with Cassandra, expensive dinners, designer jewelry, property viewings. He had even been texting her about their plans for the day after Amelia's graduation, the very day he had chosen to make his grand announcement. I had always been practical, methodical. While Gregory dreamed big and took risks, I maintained the stability our family needed. I had saved for Amelia's education when he invested unwisely in his friend's failing restaurant. I had worked extra hours as a finance manager at Trevana Corp when he quit his stable job to pursue his latest passion, handcrafted furniture, which lasted exactly 6 months before he grew bored. I had spent my entire marriage cleaning up after him, fixing the messes he left behind. This time, I wouldn't be the one picking up the pieces. Instead, I had consulted with attorneys, documented every hidden transfer, and prepared the divorce papers long before he made his public declaration. I had timed everything perfectly, knowing he would want to wait until after Amelia's graduation to avoid ruining her big day. What he didn't expect was that I would serve the divorce papers before his announcement, but with the papers still safely hidden in court records, not yet accessible to him. I had ensured that my timing was impeccable. I didn't return to the restaurant. Instead, I drove straight to our home, a spacious colonial in Augusta's historic district that we had purchased 15 years ago. The house that Gregory had already promised to Cassandra according to the text messages he didn't realize I had seen. As I pulled into the driveway, I allowed myself a moment to take it all in. This house had been our sanctuary once. We had filled its rooms with laughter, built memories in its kitchen, watched our daughter grow up beneath its roof. Now, it belonged to me, and soon, you, Gregory, would learn exactly what happens when you underestimate the woman who has been managing your finances for 30 years. Facing the fallout, I parked in the driveway and calmly entered what had been our shared space for over a decade. Everything looked the same. The family photos on the walls, the antique grandfather clock that had been my father's, the worn leather couch where Gregory and I had once dreamed of our future together. Yet, everything had changed. I went upstairs to the master bedroom and opened the closet. Gregory's clothing was already packed in suitcases hidden in the back, ready for his planned departure tomorrow. I couldn't help but smile at his predictability. He had always been meticulous about clothing, but careless about the important things. My phone buzzed incessantly with messages. From friends at the restaurant, from Amelia, even from Gregory's sister Diana, who had flown in for the graduation. I responded only to my daughter, "I'm okay. This isn't your burden to carry. Enjoy your graduation day. We'll talk tonight. I love you." Amelia had inherited my practicality along with her father's charisma, a powerful combination that had helped her graduate with honors. She would be angry that I hadn't told her, but I knew she would understand eventually. 3 hours later, I heard Gregory's car pull into the driveway. The front door slammed open. "Bianca!" he shouted, his voice echoing through the house. "Where are you?" I was sitting in the living room, calmly reviewing documents on my laptop. I closed it as he stormed in, his face flushed with anger, the envelope clutched in his hand. "What is the meaning of this?" he demanded, waving the papers. "You served me with divorce papers today of all days." I met his gaze evenly. "I thought it aligned nicely with your plans." "You had no right to." "I had every right," I interrupted, my voice steady. "Just as you had every right to choose Cassandra," he faltered. "The prenup expired years ago." I allowed myself a small smile. Actually, it didn't. Section 12 specifically states that the fidelity clause remains in effect for the duration of the marriage. His face paled as reality sank in. The prenup he had insisted upon to protect his potential wealth would now cost him everything. The house, the vacation property in Savannah, his portion of our retirement accounts. I continued. "Your grand gesture at the restaurant has just become the most expensive announcement of your life." "You can't do this to me," Gregory said, collapsing onto the couch. "We built this life together," I said, "and you chose to end it." His phone buzzed persistently in his pocket. He glanced at it, then ignored it. Cassandra, no doubt wondering where he was and why he wasn't following their carefully orchestrated plan. "You've always been calculating, Bianca." He tried a different approach, "but this is cold." Our history meant everything to me. I answered truthfully. That's why your betrayal hurts so deeply. His expression softened momentarily, perhaps seeing an opening. Then maybe we can fix this. I made a mistake. People make mistakes. This wasn't a mistake, Gregory, I said firmly. This was a calculated plan spanning more than a year. You systematically moved our money. You looked at property with her. You planned to announce our separation publicly to humiliate me. His face hardened again. You're exaggerating. AMI. I picked up my phone, opened the recording app, and played his own voice. After the graduation, I'll tell her it's over. A public setting is better. She won't make a scene in front of everyone. A Cassandra's voicing, and she has no idea about the money. A Gregory a gang known. Bianca trusts me completely. That's her weakness. The blood drained from his face. You recorded our conversations? That's illegal, he muttered. In Georgia, when one party consents, it's perfectly legal. I corrected him. And not when it's in your own home. I didn't record your private moments with Cassandra, I added. Just the conversations about your plans to defraud me. He stood suddenly, agitated. I need to make some calls. Of course, I said. Your attorney might be a good start. I'll be staying at Diana's tonight. Diana's, he sputtered. My sister's house? I nodded. She's quite upset with you, actually. She was the one who first spotted you and Cassandra together last Christmas. She confronted you first. You promised her it was nothing, that you would end it. When she realized you hadn't, she came to me. This was another blow he hadn't anticipated. Diana and I had always been close, but Gregory never imagined his own sister would choose my side. Everyone's betraying me, he muttered. Ironic, isn't it? I gathered my purse and a small overnight bag I had packed earlier. You have until tomorrow evening to remove your things from the house. I informed him. After that, the locks will be changed. As I headed toward the door, Gregory called after me, desperation in his voice. What about Amelia? Have you thought about how this affects her? I paused, anger finally breaking through my calm facade. Don't you dare use our daughter as a shield, Gregory. You certainly weren't thinking about her when you were planning your new beachfront life with Cassandra. His phone buzzed again. This time, he looked at and groaned. Problem? I asked. Cassandra is at the apartment already. She's moved her things in. I couldn't help but smile. The apartment you put in both your names. The lease you signed last month. He nodded, looking confused. You might want to check with the leasing office. That application was flagged for credit issues and never completed. The agent called our home phone to verify information. I handled it myself. I walked out the door, leaving Gregory to face the first of many consequences. His perfectly planned new life was unraveling faster than he could process. A new beginning, Diana lived in a charming bungalow across town, close to the university where she taught literature. When I arrived, she greeted me with a fierce hug. I just heard from Amelia, she said, pulling me inside. Are you okay? I let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. I'm better than I expected. She led me to the kitchen, where a bottle of wine was already open. As she poured 2 glasses, I explained everything. The divorce filing, the evidence of Gregory's financial deception, and most importantly, the prenuptial agreement that would leave him with far less than he had planned. The prenup, Diana asked, amused. I remember when he insisted on it. Father had just given him that money for his first business, and he was so worried about protecting it. I laughed bitterly. The irony is delicious. We settled in her sunroom, surrounded by potted plants and bookshelves. Diana had never married, preferring her independence and academic pursuits. Over the years, I had sometimes envied her freedom. What did you put in that envelope that made him so upset? She asked. I explained the contents. The divorce filing, the evidence of his financial deception, and most importantly, the prenuptial agreement that would leave him with far less than he had planned. Her eyes widened. You thought of everything. I nodded. For years, I was the practical one in our marriage. While Gregory dreamed big and took risks, I maintained the stability our family needed. I was the one who saved for Amelia's education when he invested unwisely in his friend's restaurant venture. I was the one who worked extra hours as a finance manager at Truvanta Corp when his midlife crisis led him to quit his stable position to follow his passion. Selling handcrafted furniture, a passion that lasted approximately 6 months before he grew bored. Diana shook her head. He always was impulsive. I sighed. I stayed with him because I loved him. Because I thought we were building something together. But I learned that people don't change unless they want to. Before she could respond, my phone rang. Amelia. I took a deep breath before answering. Mom, she said immediately, her voice strained. I'm coming over to Aunt Deanna's. You don't have to, I started. I'm already on my way, she interrupted. Dad is telling everyone you've lost your mind. That you've been planning this for months. He's saying horrible things. I exhaled sharp lie. Let him talk. The truth will become clear soon enough. 20 minutes later, Amelia arrived, still in her graduation dress but with her makeup smudged from crying. She fell into my arms like she used to as a child after a nightmare. Why didn't you tell me? She asked, her voice muffled against my shoulder. I didn't want to ruin your final semester, I explained. You worked so hard for this day. As she pulled back, wiping her eyes. Well, Dad took care of ruining it anyway. We moved to Deanna's living room, where Amelia finally got the full story. How I had discovered the affair, the financial deceptions, and the plans Gregory and Cassandra had made. I knew something was off with Dad, Amelia admitted. He's been different, distracted, always on his phone. But I never imagined. None of us want to see these things in people we love, Diana said gently. I showed them a text message from Philip Anderson, my attorney. The emergency filing had been approved. The accounts I had identified were frozen pending the divorce proceedings. Gregory now had limited access to funds, enough for living expenses, but not enough to follow through on the property purchases he had planned with Cassandra. Good, Amelia said firmly. He deserves it. My daughter's loyalty warmed me, but I wasn't naive. He's still your father, I reminded her. Your relationship with him is separate from what's happening between us. Amelia shook her head. Maybe someday, but right now, I can't even look at him. He hugged me this morning and told me how proud he was, all while planning to blow up our family. I wrapped my arm around her shoulders, feeling the weight of everything we had just endured. Later that night, as I lay in bed, I realized something. This wasn't just about revenge. It was about reclaiming my power, about proving to myself that I was more than just someone's wife or mother. And for the first time in years, I felt free. Confrontation at Diana's, the doorbell rang, interrupting our conversation. And Diana exchanged a wary glance with me before heading to answer it. Moments later, she returned, her expression troubled. It's Gregory, she said. And he's not alone. I steadied myself as Diana led Gregory and Cassandra into the living room. Cassandra looked uncomfortable, shifting her weight from one foot to the other, her eyes darting around the room. She was 37, 17 years younger than me, with shoulder-length blonde hair and the kind of confidence that comes from never having faced real hardship. Gregory, by contrast, looked furious. His earlier desperation had hardened into anger. Bianca, you need to stop this insanity, he demanded, his voice tight with frustration. Unfreeze the accounts. We can discuss this like reasonable adults. Amelia stood up, placing herself slightly in front of me. Maybe you should have tried being reasonable before announcing to everyone that you were leaving Mom. She shot back. Doesn't involve me. Gregory's eyes widened as if just noticing our daughter. This doesn't involve you. Doesn't involve me. Amelia echoed incredulously. You blew up our family on my graduation day, and it doesn't involve me. Cassandra touched Gregory's arm. Greg, maybe we should go. He shook her off. No, I'm not leaving until Bianca agrees to be rational about this. Diana folded her arms. My sister-in-law seems to be the only rational person in this scenario. You're the one who created this mess, Gregory. I remained seated, watching the drama unfold. For years, I had been the peacemaker, the one who smoothed over conflicts and kept everyone happy. That role was exhausting, and I had finally set it down. The accounts will remain frozen until the preliminary hearing, I said calmly. That's in 3 days. The judge will determine appropriate asset division at that time. 3 days, Gregory sputtered. What am I supposed to do for 3 days? You have your personal account, I reminded him. The one you've been funneling money into for the past year. That should be sufficient. Cassandra's head whipped toward Gregory. You have a separate account. With how much in it? An interesting dynamic was emerging. Clearly, Gregory hadn't been entirely forthcoming with Cassandra either. Gregory ignored her question. This is vindictive, Bianca. This isn't like you. Perhaps you never really knew me, I replied. Just as I apparently never really knew you. Amelia turned to Cassandra. Did you know he was going to announce it like that? At my graduation celebration? Cassandra had the decency to look ashamed. I thought he was going to talk to your mother privately. The announcement today was unexpected. Gregory shot her a betrayed look. Cracks were already forming in their united front. I think you both should leave, Diana said firmly. You've upset Amelia enough for one day. Amelia turned to her father. I understand that relationships change, don't you? Sometimes people grow apart. My daughter's face hardened in a way I had never seen before. To chatting with you, what I understand is that you're a coward who couldn't even give Mom the dignity of a private conversation. What I understand is that you were stealing from our family while I was working 2 jobs to help pay for my textbooks because you said money was tight. Gregory paled. That's not how it was. It's exactly how it was. Amelia cut him off. Please leave, Dad. I can't look at you right now. The silence that followed was deafening. Finally, Gregory turned to go. Cassandra trailing behind him. At the door, he paused and looked back at me. This isn't over. Bianca. I met his gaze steadily. You're welcome to try. After they left, Amelia collapsed next to me on the sofa, tears streaming down her face. I've never talked to Dad like that, she whispered. I wrapped my arm around her shoulders. Sometimes standing up for what's right is painful. Diana brought us fresh glasses of wine. To new beginnings, she said, raising her glass. Indeed, I thought. This ending was just the beginning of something new. The preliminary hearing took place in a small courtroom on a rainy Tuesday morning. I arrived with my attorney, Philip, while Gregory came with a lawyer he had hastily retained. A young associate from a firm that specialized in corporate law, not family matters. Gregory's poor choice of representation was yet another consequence of his rushed planning. The judge, an older woman with sharp eyes and no patience for dramatics, reviewed the prenuptial agreement carefully. This document appears to be in order, she said, looking over her reading glasses at Gregory's attorney. Do you contest its validity? The young lawyer cleared his throat. Your Honor, we believe agreement has expired due to the length of time that has passed. Section 18 clearly states that the duration is for the term of the marriage plus any legal proceedings resulting from its dissolution. The judge read aloud. There is no expiration date indicated. Gregory leaned forward to whisper urgently to his lawyer, who looked increasingly uncomfortable. Furthermore, the judge continued, shuffling through the papers. The evidence of systematic fund transfers appears to violate the financial disclosure requirements in Section 23. She looked up. I am ruling to maintain the freeze on joint accounts pending full financial discovery. Mr. Caldwell's personal account will remain accessible to him. The family home will remain in Mrs. Caldwell's possession during proceedings, as stipulated in the prenuptial agreement's infidelity clause. The Gregory's face flushed dark red. This is outrageous. He muttered loud enough for me to hear. The judge fixed him with a stern look. Mr. Caldwell, I suggest you review the agreement you signed more carefully. This court will reconvene in 30 days for the full hearing after discovery is complete. As we left the courtroom, Gregory caught up to me in the hallway. Bianca, please, he said, desperation creeping into his voice. We need to talk about this reasonably. 28 years together has to count for something. I stopped, turning to face him. It counted for everything, I replied, until you decided it didn't. Without another word, I walked away, leaving him standing alone in the courthouse corridor, the weight of his choices finally beginning to sink in. The unraveling words spread quickly through our social circle. Friends called daily, some offering support, others seeking gossip. I maintained a dignified silence about the details, simply saying, "Gregory and I are separating. These things happen." Meanwhile, Gregory's carefully constructed facade was crumbling. The image he had cultivated, successful businessman, devoted family man, was tarnished beyond repair. The financial freeze meant he couldn't follow through on promises made to Cassandra. The beachfront property they had been planning to purchase fell through. The luxury car he had put a deposit on had to be canceled. 2 weeks after the hearing, Diana called me, her voice tinged with amusement. "Have you heard the latest? Cassandra moved out already." I wasn't entirely surprised, but the speed was impressive. She discovered that Gregory's business isn't doing as well as he claimed. Diana continued, "The substantial savings he talked about don't exist." She told her friend Jennifer that she didn't sign up to date a man with financial problems. I couldn't help but laugh. He always was good at creating illusions. Meanwhile, I was rebuilding the financial security I had always maintained. Separate from our joint accounts, I had resources Gregory hadn't anticipated. I rented a small office space downtown and began setting up the consultancy I had dreamed about for years. My first clients were 2 women going through divorces of their own. Word of mouth brought more. I specialized in helping women understand their finances during major life transitions. Divorces, widowhood, career changes. The work was immediately fulfilling in a way my corporate job never had been. Amelia, who had accepted a job with a marketing firm in Charleston, called me regularly. "I'm so proud of you, Mom," she told me after I described my growing client list. "You're helping people during their worst moments." I smiled. "I'm just doing what I wish someone had done for me earlier, preparing women for whatever might come, being needed for my expertise rather than my caregiving. It's a novel and empowering experience." Gregory's world was shrinking while mine was expanding. The man who had once defined of himself by his business ventures and romantic conquests was now facing the consequences of his choices. His company was struggling without my financial oversight. Cassandra was gone, already dating a real estate developer from Savannah. Most of our mutual friends had distanced themselves from him after learning the full story of his deception. He had gambled everything on a new life, convinced he could walk away clean. Instead, he found himself tangled in the very financial web he had spun for himself. And I was finally free. The final verdict, the final divorce hearing fell on what would have been our 29th anniversary. A fitting end to a chapter of my life that had lasted nearly 3 decades. Gregory arrived looking haggard, his usual air of confidence replaced with something brittle and uncertain. I later learned that his business was struggling without my financial support and guidance. Cassandra was long gone, already dating a real estate developer from Savannah. Most of our mutual friends had distanced themselves from him after learning the full story of his deception. The judge upheld the prenuptial agreement in its entirety. Gregory left with his personal possessions, his struggling business, and the money in his private account, which, after paying his attorney, was barely enough to secure a small apartment. I retained our home, my retirement accounts, and 70% of our joint investments, exactly as the prenuptial agreement stipulated in cases of infidelity. The justice was poetic. The very document Gregory had insisted upon to protect himself had become his downfall. As we left the courtroom, Gregory approached me one last time. "I made a terrible mistake," he said quietly. "Is there any chance we could?" I held up a hand before he could finish. "No," I said gently but firmly. "That door is closed." He swallowed hard. "I understand." For once I believed him. "I hope you find happiness, Bianca," he added. "You deserve it." I studied him for a moment. "Thank you." Then, without another word, I walked away. 6 months later, my consultancy, Caldwell Financial Transitions, was thriving. I had moved from the small office to a larger space and hired 2 associates. I specialized in helping women secure their financial futures, particularly through major life changes. Amelia visited often, proud of what I had built. You know what's ironic? She said during one visit. If Dad had just been honest from the beginning, he might have kept half of everything. I smiled. Sometimes people can't see beyond what they want in the moment. The woman who had once defined herself as Gregory's wife and Amelia's mother had discovered a new identity. Mentor, business owner, advocate. The envelope I had handed Gregory at the restaurant hadn't just been my escape plan. It had been the key to a door I never knew existed. Behind it, I found not just revenge, but reinvention. In securing my financial future, I had also reclaimed something far more valuable: myself. So, there you have it. My story. From the moment I decided to take back my life to the day I walked away with my head held high. Gregory thought he could rewrite our future without me, but what he didn't realize was that I had already written a new chapter long before he made his grand exit. Now, I run my own consultancy, help other women reclaim their power, and live every day on my own terms. But I want to hear from you. How did I handle everything? Would you have taken the same path? Or do you think there's another way to deal with betrayal? What would you have done in my shoes? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's talk about it. And if you found strength in my story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with anyone who might need a reminder that sometimes walking away is the most powerful thing you can do.